What started as a dream romance turned into a nightmare when I discovered his fiancée, how I unraveled a year-long lie and brought his perfect life crashing down before their wedding plans finalized. He told me he was single. Those 5 words. They've been echoing in my head like a bad joke I didn't get until the punchline was already smacking me in the face. His name was Adam, tall, quiet confidence, eyes that always looked like they were holding back a secret. We met through Instagram. Not on a dating app, not at a bar, just a casual reply to a story about my dog face planting into a pile of leaves. That's how the spiral began. He said he was single. Said he was ready for something real. Said he was done with the games. And I believed him. I'm Ava. And this story? It starts like something out of a rom-com, ends like a bad soap opera. At first, it was nothing. Little conversations. Jokes. He asked questions, remembered things. He was the kind of guy who knew the difference between your and actually cared when you had a crappy day at work. He made me feel like I mattered. Like I wasn't just some placeholder until something better came along. After a few weeks of flirting and voice notes that made me grin like an idiot, we met in person. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into him brushing my hair back and saying, "You're easy to be around." It felt like gravity. He said his last relationship ended messy. That his ex, Natalie, just couldn't let go. But he reassured me it was over. Said it with that steady voice that made you want to believe him. I asked him point blank, "You're really single?" He smiled, a little sad, and said, "Yeah. Took me a while to be, but yeah." That moment is etched in my brain like a scar. For over a year we dated. He was never around on weekends, said his job took him out of town a lot. Project management, lots of travel. Made sense. But during the week, he was present. Thoughtful. Sweet. When I got sick, he dropped off soup and my favorite tea. When my cat died, he held me while I cried and said, "I've got you." So when I say I didn't see it coming, I mean I refused to. My gut whispered, "Sure." But I shut it up with "He's just busy, and he's trying his best." Then came the twist. I was scrolling Instagram on a lazy Tuesday morning, hair in a bun, coffee in hand, when I saw the post. Someone I barely knew had shared an engagement photo. Adam. Natalie. Smiling like a Hallmark card. The caption read, "Can't wait to spend forever with my best friend." My thumb froze mid-scroll. I clicked. Scrolled. Scrolled more. Engagement party. Family celebration. Comments like, "Finally, and you two were always meant to be." I didn't move for a full 5 minutes. Everything inside me just stopped. The ex he'd said was out of the picture? She was never out of anything. She was in the center of it. While he was with me, telling me I mattered, he was planning a wedding with her. A wedding. Like we weren't even real. And all I could think was, do I walk away? Or do I tear the whole lie down? Because suddenly, I wasn't just heartbroken. I was furious. The brain's a funny thing. You know how when something finally breaks, you start seeing all the little cracks that were there the whole time? Yeah, that's what hit me next. Suddenly, everything made too much sense. The work trips that always landed on weekends. The way he never let me post photos of us, not even stories. "Just don't like putting my personal life out there," he'd say. I thought that was healthy. Now I realize it was cover. There were always things I'd brushed off. Like how he once panicked when I reached for his phone to change the song in his car. Or the time he got weirdly defensive when I asked if his family knew about me. "Let's not rush things," he said. "I just want something that feels ours, you know?" I nodded like a fool. But the truth was, it wasn't ours. It was borrowed. And apparently, the rental period was over. I stared at that engagement post for hours. Clicked through the comments, zoomed in on their smiles, studied her like she might hold the answer to why he chose this. Chose her. Chose both of us in some twisted way. I didn't cry. Not right away. I just felt hollow. Like I was sitting in someone else's life, watching it burn in slow motion. And then, maybe out of morbid curiosity, maybe because my stomach refused to settle, I checked her profile. That's when I saw it. The date on the proposal post? Just 3 weeks ago. We had dinner 2 nights after that. He kissed my forehead and said, "I've missed you." I remember exactly how that felt. Warm. Familiar. Like home. Now it feels like acid. I sat on my bed, knees to my chest, phone buzzing with a text from him. "Good morning, sunshine. Hope today's a better one, Redheart." The audacity. I didn't respond. I couldn't. Instead, I did something I never thought I'd do. I clicked over to Natalie's profile. My heart was pounding, hands shaky. I stared at the message button for what felt like forever. And then I tapped it. "Hi. I'm really sorry to message you like this. I think there's something you need to know." I didn't know what would happen. I just knew one thing for sure. I couldn't sit with this alone anymore. I didn't expect her to respond. I thought maybe she'd ignore it, or worse, block me. I mean, who wants to read a message from some random girl implying their fiancé's living a double life? But she replied. Fast. "What do you mean?" was all it said. No punctuation. Just cold and sharp, like she already knew something wasn't right and was hoping I'd say anything but what I was about to. I swallowed hard and typed back. "I've been seeing Adam for over a year. He told me he was single. I didn't know about you, about this engagement, until today." I hit send before I could second-guess myself. Then I dropped my phone and paced my apartment, heart pounding so loud it felt like a threat. The reply came 10 minutes later. "Prove it." 3 words. And honestly, fair. So I dug. Screenshots of texts, selfies from my couch, a birthday card he wrote me that said, "Here's to all our future plans." I sent it all. I didn't have to spin it. The facts laid themselves out like a horror movie on loop. She read everything. Left me on scene for almost an hour. Then, "He told me you were just a coworker." My stomach twisted. "Not even close," I wrote back. "He said you two broke up. That she was stuck in the past." His words. She didn't reply. Not for a long time. And then, finally, "Thank you. We were about to put a deposit down for the venue today." I stared at that sentence. It landed like a brick to the chest. He was going to marry her. He was still planning to, even as he kissed me goodbye 2 nights ago. I sat down on the floor right where I'd opened her message and felt every bit of the truth settle in. This wasn't just a lie. This was months of manipulation. Of splitting his life down the middle and telling both halves whatever they needed to hear. Natalie told me she was calling off the engagement. Said she needed time to process everything, but that she'd already told her parents and canceled the venue tour. Then she said something that stuck with me. "He's not going to take this well." And she was right. Because about an hour later, my phone lit up. It was Adam. "Why would you do this?" His message read. Not "I'm sorry." Not "please let me explain." Just straight into blame. And that was the moment I knew exactly who he was. Adam showed up at my apartment the next day. No warning. No call. Just the sound of fists pounding against my door like the building was on fire. I didn't open it at first. I watched him through the peephole, pacing like a man possessed, running his hands through his hair, muttering to himself. When I finally cracked the door open, he didn't look like the Adam I knew. He looked unhinged. "You told her," he said. Not even a question. Just an accusation, low and hoarse. I stayed quiet. He stepped forward like he might force his way in, but stopped himself, hands gripping the doorframe so hard I thought he might crack it. "You ruined everything." I almost laughed. "You were engaged to someone else, Adam. You ruined everything." He shook his head, eyes wild. "It wasn't like that. You don't understand. I was going to end it with her." That line. The one cheaters always seem to memorize. I was going to leave her. It didn't mean anything. "You're the one I really care about." I crossed my arms. "You had over a year and a half to end it. And instead, you planned a wedding while sleeping in my bed. Which part exactly am I supposed to understand?" His mouth opened, but nothing came out. For a second, I thought he might cry. But then his face hardened again. "She was never supposed to know," he said, voice low. "You were never supposed to get involved." That's when I slammed the door. His voice kept echoing through the hallway as I locked it behind me. "You think you're the victim here? You think you're so innocent?" I pressed my forehead to the door, heart hammering. I didn't say a word. Just listened as he finally stormed off, each footstep thudding like a warning shot. That night, I changed my locks and blocked his number. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Silence can be just as loud as a scream. After I blocked Adam, my phone stayed eerily quiet. No texts, no calls. Not from him, not from Natalie. It was like the storm had hit, and now I was stuck in the stillness that followed, waiting to see what, if anything, was left standing. I kept checking social media like some masochist looking for new bruises. Natalie had gone dark, profile locked, photos wiped. All the engagement pics, gone like they'd never happened. Mutual friends started going quiet too. People I'd chatted with or met once through Adam suddenly weren't liking my posts or responding to DMs. I'd become radioactive. The weirdest part? I missed him. Not the liar he turned out to be, but the version of him I'd known, or thought I'd known. The late-night talks. The way he'd absent-mindedly play with my fingers when we held hands. How he used to rub circles into my back when I couldn't sleep. None of it was real. And yet, my body remembered it like it still mattered. There were nights I'd wake up at 3 a.m., heart racing, reaching for my phone before I remembered I'd cut him off. I'd lie there, staring at the ceiling, wondering how I let myself fall so hard for someone who didn't even exist. One night, a mutual friend, Julia, texted me out of the blue. "You okay?" I stared at the screen for a full minute before responding. "No, not really." We met for drinks the next night. She didn't say much at first. Just let me vent. Then she hit me with it. "I knew something was off," she said quietly. "He once told me you were just a friend from work. Said you had a crush on him, and he didn't want to hurt your feelings." I felt like I'd been slapped. So that was the version of me he gave the world. The desperate girl who couldn't take a hint. I laughed, sharp and bitter, and downed the rest of my drink. Julia reached for my hand. "You didn't do anything wrong. He's just good at pretending." I nodded. But the words didn't stick. They just hovered there, weightless. Because the worst part wasn't that he lied. It was that, for a long time, I wanted to believe him. 2 weeks later, he tried to rewrite the story. I got a message from a mutual friend, one of those passive-aggressive, just thought you should know types. Apparently, Adam had started telling people I was unstable, that I'd been obsessed with him, that I made up the relationship out of loneliness and revenge. Classic. He said I was jealous of his happiness. Said Natalie forgave him, but that I went nuclear when he tried to let me down easy. I laughed when I heard it. A real, guttural laugh. Because only someone as insecure as Adam could cheat, lie, and still position himself as the victim. And part of me was almost impressed. He didn't just want to avoid consequences, he wanted sympathy. Redemption. The kind that makes people pat him on the back and say, "Everyone makes mistakes." I could have gone public. Screenshots. Voice memos. Receipts. I had them all. But I didn't. I didn't because I realized something. The truth always has a way of leaking out. Especially with people like Adam. They keep repeating their patterns until their lies collapse under the weight of their own ego. So instead, I did the one thing he couldn't handle. I went silent. No reaction. No defense. No dramatic tell-all posts. He can scream into his echo chamber all he wants. Let them guess. Let him spiral. Because the worst punishment for someone like Adam? Being ignored by the one person who saw through him and walked away without looking back. There's a moment after the anger burns out where you're just quiet. I didn't realize how heavy it all had been until I felt what it was like to breathe without it. The guilt. The second guessing. The waiting for a text that never comes, or worse, the one that does, just to twist the knife a little deeper. Adam was still out there, spinning his narrative. And yeah, word got back to me. That I was crazy. That I'd ruined his life. That I was the reason Natalie left him. But I didn't flinch. I didn't explain. Because I realized something no one ever tells you when you go through betrayal. You don't owe anyone your side of the story. Not when they're already committed to misunderstanding you. Instead, I started over quietly. I got a new number. Moved apartments. Switched gyms. Not because I was hiding, but because I wanted every piece of my life untouched by a shadow. Natalie reached out one last time, maybe 3 months after everything imploded. She sent a voice message. Said she was sorry. Said she didn't want to hate me. I didn't respond. Not because I was angry, but because I'd already said everything I needed to say the day I told her the truth. Some bridges don't need rebuilding. One evening, I was walking home from work, sunset spilling over the pavement, everything golden and soft, and I passed by a bakery Adam and I used to go to. I paused. For a second, the memories tried to pull me under again. But I just kept walking, didn't even look back. Because there's something no liar ever prepares for. When the person they tried to destroy no longer cares enough to fight. About a month ago, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let it go to voicemail. Later, when I checked, it was Adam's voice. Not yelling, not manipulative, just small. He said, "I know you'll probably never listen to this. And I get it. I don't know what happened to me. I messed up. I think about you all the time. I just wanted to say I'm sorry." I deleted it without replaying. What he doesn't know, what he'll never know, is that by the time he left that message, I was already in a different chapter. I'd started dating someone new. Slowly, carefully, no secrets. No gut whispers I had to ignore. Just peace. I never told this new person about Adam. Not at first. But one night, we were walking by the river, and he asked me what made me stop trusting my instincts. I told him everything. Not the dramatic version. Just the honest one. He didn't flinch. Didn't offer advice or try to fix it. He just said, "People like that don't win in the end. They just burn through everyone who ever gave them grace." And something in me finally let go. It hit me later. Adam hadn't just lied to me or Natalie. He lied to himself. About who he was. About what he could get away with. About what love meant. And now? He's the one left with all the broken pieces. Sometimes, the best revenge is simply moving on. No scorched earth. No dramatic confrontation. Just healing in a way that leaves no space for the person who broke you. I don't talk about Adam anymore. Not because I'm bitter, but because he doesn't deserve to take up space in my story. People still ask sometimes. Friends who only half know the drama. "Wait, wasn't that the guy who?" And I just nod. Yeah, that was him. That's all he gets now. A past tense footnote. The girl I used to be, the one who kept trying to be chill, to be understanding, to believe in the best version of him, she doesn't live here anymore. In her place is someone sharper. Softer in the right ways, but a little more careful with who she lets in. If I ever saw him again, which I doubt, I wouldn't look away in shame. I wouldn't look at him like I'm owed something. I'd look at him like a stranger I used to know. And I'd keep walking, because I didn't destroy his life. He did that all on his own. And me? I survived it. I came out the other side. Quietly. Stronger. Unbothered. And that's what'll haunt him most. Update. 1 year later. It's been almost a year since everything fell apart, and somehow, everything's finally come together. I moved cities. Not to run away, but because I wanted a fresh start where my life didn't orbit around anyone else's lies. I transferred jobs, found a small apartment with creaky floors and a window that floods the kitchen with morning light. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine. Every inch of it feels like peace. I haven't heard from Adam since that voicemail, though I did run into one of his old friends at a coffee shop last month. She didn't know we'd split. When I told her, her eyes widened. "You didn't hear?" she asked. Natalie left. Like, For real this time. Took the ring, moved across the country. Said she couldn't keep rehabilitating a grown man. Turns out, after she called off the wedding, Adam tried to get her back. Claimed I'd manipulated everything. Classic projection. When that didn't work, he spiraled, new job, short-lived rebound girl, a dozen cringy attempts to win sympathy on social media. The truth has a funny way of catching up to people. And as for me, I'm seeing someone. His name's Eli. He knows the whole story, not because I dumped it all out on the first date, but because he asked and listened. No judgment. No pity. Just this quiet, steady presence that makes it easy to exhale. He doesn't fill the silence with promises. He just shows up consistently. And that, I've learned, is everything. Sometimes I still get this tight feeling in my chest, especially when I catch the scent of a cologne Adam used to wear or hear a song that played during one of those nights I thought were real. But then I remind myself, it's okay to remember. It's even okay to grieve what you thought you had. As long as you don't go back to pretending it was love.